Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who may be new to me, my name is Kristen Welton, and in today's video, this is what I like to call story time. So get comfy, grab a coffee, tea, wine, shot, because this just might take a while. Well, last summer I ended up having a bit of a scare, but before I get into that, I should give you a bit of a backstory. Like in many families, cancer is a big thing, and for my mom's side, there's quite a few relatives that have either survived or passed away from cancer. For example, one of my cousins had a rare form of leukemia and passed away. His father ended up getting lung cancer and passed away in 2009 or 2010. My mom was diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma and she survived it, but in 2018 she was diagnosed with lung cancer and then passed away a year later from it. I have an uncle that survived non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I have an aunt. She also had basal cell carcinoma as well as cervical cancer, I believe at least twice. So that's kind of a lot. So now that that backdrop has been painted, I'm going to take you back to last winter when I started to notice some like shadows on my nose. It was really small and it's on my right side of my nose. Because it was quite small, I didn't really think too much about it. And then in the summer, I started to notice it getting darker and bigger and changing shape. So at that point, I wouldn't say I was worried at the time exactly. It was just kind of one of those things that I noticed. And then I remembered what the shape reminded me of, and my stomach dropped. When my mom had basal cell carcinoma, it was on her nose and it was in this weird shape. And yeah, it started off like a shadow and then it formed into, I don't know how to describe it, almost looking like a blister, and then it got really red. And then, you know, despite me saying, Mom, you should get it checked out, my mom was very, very stubborn and it's like, no, it's fine, it's all right, it's just whatever. And she didn't get it, you know, checked out for a long time, and it got very angry until she said, okay, maybe I should get this checked out. So it ended up being basal cell carcinoma, which is a form of skin cancer. This is a type of skin cancer that people usually don't die from. It has a very low mortality rate, so it wasn't really a surprise that after undergoing radiation treatment, she was fine and it didn't come back, which is great. But I don't know if it's a coincidence that she ended up being diagnosed with lung cancer almost 10 years later. Lung cancer and skin cancer are two totally different things. I do know that, but I wonder if the basal cell carcinoma awakened the cancer gene. And yeah, I don't know, but my mom was also a smoker for many, many years. It could be a coincidence. Yeah, I think we need tea for this one. Nice lukewarm tea. We'll get into that one later. So once that memory was triggered with what my mom went through, I started to freak out a bit, especially when the texture of the area started to change, and I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, panic time is now. So I went to my doctor to get a referral to see a dermatologist, and so I got the referral. I am not a patient person. Some things I'm patient for, but for stuff like that, I'm definitely not. However, I was really surprised with how fast they contacted me to book a date. And technically, I should have been happy that it was a month later and not 3 months or 4 months or a year, because that does happen. And I don't think I could wait a year to find out whether or not I have skin cancer. Even though I was very incredibly thankful to have an appointment in less than 30 days, it was still hard. I was having dreams of being diagnosed with cancer. I was having dreams of dying of cancer. And it's not necessarily the skin cancer because it's treatable. It was the fact that I was scared that it was going to awaken the cancer gene and all new kinds of cancers was going to sprout and I was going to end up being, you know, dead. And you know, I'm not ready for that quite yet. Kira is still young. She's 17. She's not quite ready to live life without me, and I don't want her to live life. Oh God, I don't want to cry. Oh, this is ridiculous. Oh, and it really sucks because I'm not wearing waterproof mascara right now. God damn it. Oh, this is a bit of a surprise I wasn't expecting. So yeah, in that month-long waiting period, things ran rampant in my mind, and really for no reason, because it's not like I was diagnosed or anything at that point. I was just scared, and because of the family history, and you know, it hasn't been that long since I lost my mom. It was just a lot. During that time, I knew something was wrong. It was in the pit of my stomach. I just knew something wasn't right. And despite trying not to panic and automatically, you know, come to the worst conclusion or anything like that, I had to leave it into the hands of the dermatologist about what is happening. And having something out of my control is really, really hard. I wouldn't say that I'm OCD exact. Well, actually, yeah, I am. I have a form of perfectionism. It used to be really, really bad when I was in high school. If I didn't do well on a test, I would ask to redo it to try to get it perfect. So there's that. This was back in August of last year, and my appointment was at the end of September. A little nerve-wracking. So once I was in the patient care room, for some reason, everything just seemed calmer. I don't know if it was, you know, the realization of, okay, if it's bad news, and we'll just deal with it, or my intuition telling me, okay, you know what, you gotta calm down, everything's gonna be okay. So the dermatologist comes in, and she's an absolutely lovely woman and puts me at ease right away. She asks me some questions, and then she comes over to look at my face. One of the things that I made sure to do was when I went there, I was only wearing my SPF. I wasn't wearing any makeup because obviously she would need to see everything. And then she leaves and sits down, and she's like, yeah, you have rosacea. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, you have rosacea. I'm like, no, because I don't remember anything of rosacea being like of blue spots. I'm like, no, it's right here. It's not that. And she's like, no, it's rosacea. I'm like, hold on a second. I'm at gobsmacked right now. I was so surprised. I was almost thinking that I wasn't being heard because my mind is so wrapped in this thing on my nose that is rough and patchy and blue, you know. And when I think of rosacea, I think red, like bright red. And I said, no, it's this spot right here. It looks like a shadow. It's blue. And she just smiles and she's like, trust me, it's something called vascular rosacea. Like, I'm so relieved that this isn't cancer. And she's like, well, hold up a second. This isn't cancer, you're right. But we do need to talk about your background. And I explained that my grandfather's from France. My mom's side is predominantly Scottish, English, and Irish. And she just looks at me, she's like, yeah. So that puts you into an at-risk category because you are so light, and you're definitely a candidate for skin cancer. You don't have it right now, but there is a risk. She asked me if I wear SPF. The only time that I'm not wearing an SPF is when I'm sleeping. And then I shared with her the types of SPF that I've been using and that I was reapplying liberally all the time, but I have to make sure that I continue that and to not stop using an SPF or anything like that, because that is really, really important, especially for my skin type. And it was a complete WTF moment for me because I was confused. I was relieved. It was this equal mix of all these emotions, and there's no reason for this. I'm in this roller coaster of emotions, and the biggest one being relief and thankfulness and gratefulness, and almost like I needed to hear it from her again to know that it wasn't cancer. I don't know why it's bothering me like right now. I promise you I'm not sad. I'm really, really happy and thankful because it was scary. You know, I felt like I had all the odds stacked up against me of whether or not it could be cancer, and I'm just relieved beyond words. As we were talking about the rosacea, I was starting to feel really dumb, and I apologized for what I felt was wasting her time, and I was quite embarrassed about it. And she was like, no, you noticed something that was different. The best thing that you could have done was that you were assessing your skin. You were aware of things that just weren't right. That's a really important thing, and it's definitely not a waste of time. So I guess the moral of the story is don't feel embarrassed or afraid to assess your skin regularly, and really keep an eye on things if you find something even remotely suspicious. Take a picture of it, take note of it, and if anything gets bigger or the texture of that spot or mole or anything like that changes, then definitely reach out to your doctor and get a referral to see a dermatologist right away, because cancer is not fun, man. Also, I've been working on a new regimen with my rosacea, and if you're interested in me making a video about it, please comment below. Rosacea is a relapsing condition, and in some cases it can be really severe, so I'm really thankful that mine so far is not. So there's a few different kinds of rosacea. I don't know a lot about it, and it really is a learning thing. I learn more about it every day. I don't experience any tingling or swelling or pain with it whatsoever. So this diagnosis of vascular rosacea explains a lot. I love skincare. I am constantly assessing my face after I wash it. When I'm doing any type of mask or facial treatment, my oils, moisturizers, I'm always assessing my face. And in past videos, I've always talked about hyperpigmentation that I have around my nose and on my chin and on my cheeks. And so that's what I thought it was. But she explained to me that the vascular rosacea is what that is. If you take a closer look, you'll notice that the redness is actually little tiny veins that are close to the skin. Mind blown. And I have these dark red veins on my nose here. I have one, I think it's on, what side is it on? Oh, it's this side. I have a vein that is really, really deep there. And then I have veins on the outside right here that can get very dark as well. And I've always wondered what it was, and now I know. But also on my cheeks, I have these small little tiny veins that are peeking up, and I don't really have anything on my forehead except for like right here. but I have it on my chin, and now I'm starting to notice it happening right here as well. So at least now I know what the hell is going on with the redness on my face, and I've learned what some of the triggers are and some things that I can do to help it. The cause of rosacea, I haven't really found anything that is definitive in it, but I did find a list of triggers that can make rosacea worse. These include exposure to sunlight, stress, strenuous exercise, hot or cold weather, hot drinks, alcohol and caffeine, certain foods such as spicy foods. When I was in the office with my dermatologist, she was like, yeah, you know, stay away from hot drinks, hot teas, coffees, soups. It's like she doesn't know me, which she doesn't. After that, I felt like the world collapsed when she said stay away from chocolate. Oh, that's a hard one. So, hence the reason why I'm drinking lukewarm peppermint tea, or any tea, and coffee is now lukewarm. Coffee, unless it's cold brew, it has to be hot. Tea has to be hot. Chocolate has to be in my belly. It's a bit of a problem for me. But at the same time, I'm so grateful that it's not cancer. I'm so grateful for that. So everything else is purely trivial. But I want to hear from you. Do you or a loved one have rosacea? If so, please comment below and tell me your story. How were you diagnosed, or how are you dealing with? Any tips or suggestions would be amazing. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep on filming. Bye for now. Forward to seeing you in the next one. And oh my god. What was I saying? Well, now that I've composed myself, who am I kidding? I wish this was warmer.